Let's see what he can do. Oh, you are recording the call.
Sam. Yeah, Sam's already recording.
All right, there you go. Legally, I have to tell you, I am recording. You guys all agree and consent?
I'll consent to shit. You spring this on me, and you're just like...
Do you agree and consent?
Yeah, I consent.
Artur, do you agree and consent?
Kind of have to already.
And I consent as well. Okay, welcome back to the second episode of the Talkies Netcast. I'm Sam. Today we're joined by our editor-in-chief, Nick, and our managing editor, Artur. How are you guys?
Tired.
I'm tired.
We're doing this early in the morning.
I'm also tired.
Dude, it's like pulling teeth to get all three of us in one call.
We're so busy. We're all on different schedules all the time, aren't we? Guys, we're adults now. Take that in.
Not really.
I don't know about that.
Well, Nick, you're out of university.
Nick's an adult.
Yeah, Nick has a full-time job. He pays car insurance. Like, he's an adult.
Guys, that's like breaking me down right now. I gotta go have like a cake pop or something. Feel young again.
A cake pop.
Bro, I wake up with back pain now. Like, I think I said that on the last podcast.
Dude, you gotta start, I don't know, like walking.
Bro, I'm working out again. I went to the gym yesterday for like the first time like a month and a half. Like,
oh my god, I'm kind of impressed.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm like,
I know I never will.
Oh, bro. Sam, what are we doing today?
All right, today.
No more about my back pain.
Going along with the theme of scary sights, we're going to talk about Halloween.
Are we a scary sight?
You in the gym.
Yeah. Oh, that I work out with him. That's a scary sight.
Nick, come back. We need
this
you.
This is assault.
No, it's not. We just say you look ugly when you work out. Everyone looks ugly when they work out. Don't worry about it.
I'm a majestic beast.
No, you know what? I've never seen it. But Halloween is upon us.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's in a couple of days, actually. I think it's
spooky season, boys.
The spooky season.
It falls on a Tuesday this year, which is, to me, it's kind of weird.
What?
It's Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a Thursday? Wow.
That's
no
worse.
Wonder. Yeah, like, it's just so close to being a Friday. Either way. Doesn't matter.
You're going to go out on November 1st? I think I am, actually. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For Halloween-related stuff?
Oh, yeah. I think it's like a 70s party.
That doesn't feel right. Celebrating Halloween on November 1st.
It's a little weird, eh?
Yeah.
But what am I out on a Thursday?
That makes sense. All right. Well, Sam, please, what are we doing in this?
So, because Halloween's upon us, we've all seen on TV that the Halloween movies are starting to roll in. Yeah. Nick and I were talking before this, and like I probably watched like 6 or 7. So you had the idea, Artur, of talking about our favorite Halloween movies.
Yeah, guys, because like Halloween is probably the best holiday, even though we don't get it off from work.
It's a weird way to say Leif Erikson Day from SpongeBob.
No, but I don't know about you guys. To me, I love Halloween. Like, I love the whole dressing up, you can get free candy, and watching of spooky movies.
I want to ask you. So, just because a movie's scary, does it constitute it being a Halloween movie? Because it may not actually fall under Halloween. Like, for example, my girlfriend's dad says Die Hard is a Christmas movie because it takes place over Christmas.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
No, the way I see it is like for me, when it has to be like a Christmas movie, it has to deal with like values to do with Christmas. So like Die Hard is not, I'm sorry, a Christmas movie. It just takes place on it. Just like, so you're gonna argue to me that what's that movie? Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie because it takes place on Christmas.
All of Shane Black's movies are Christmas movies.
Yeah,
every single one of his movies takes place in Christmas.
Yeah, too bad half of them are bad. Next, so any kind of scary movie can be watched on Halloween, but not every scary movie is a Halloween movie. I think that's like for example, I like being scared on Halloween, so the only movies that I can watch are horror movies. So to answer your question, Sam, it's that. Like the only core Halloween movies are like Well, we'll get into it because I'm sure some of you
No,
guys
get into it now
take
while you're
that.
talking.
Take that in your discussion. Okay, well, we all.
Well, then tell him
couple.
what we're going to be doing.
Yeah. Okay. So, for all this, we prepared around like 3 of our like top 3 horror movies that we bring forward to the discussion, and then by the end, we're gonna try to come up with somewhat of a definitive kind of list between all of our choices. Okay. So, I can begin. So 3 movies I've chosen. And I really like horror. So like, I hope I don't have none of your guys' choices. So I'm trying to pick anything too deliberately simple. So
We're simple, Sam.
That's us.
We're simple.
yeah,
I'm just getting beaten.
well, Nick, I think you messaged whatever. We'll get into it. But Nick messaged me his choices, and I'm like, yeah, of course. So the first movie that I picked, see, I wanted to pick Halloween because I know that someone was gonna do it, so I picked another movie. It's called Black Christmas. It's actually released a couple years, if I'm not mistaken, a year or 2 before Halloween. So it's actually the very first slasher movie about a holiday. Everyone thinks it's Halloween with Mike Myers, but that's actually the second one of it. So this one deals with like once again, it's a slasher killer during a holiday. It is weirdly tense, this movie. A lot of it is shot from the perspective of the killer. So I thought that was kind of revolutionary for like 1972. So that's my first pick. Now I know none of you guys are gonna want to put that in the top 3. So I actually picked movies that potentially can make the top 3.
Artur,
what?
let me cut you off there. I just need to ask, are any movies that people actually know on your list?
Maybe the last 2. Yeah, maybe the last.
Because Nick and
I know Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Black Christmas, but I know it because it's getting a remake.
Yeah.
There you go. Nick and I, our first movie choice was Halloween.
I knew it.
Both of us.
Because you know what it is? The first Halloween movie is actually, it's so good because it's able to tell such a simple story and very little to no dialogue. Everything is mostly visuals, especially the early go. Like the way Michael Myers kills his family in the very beginning of the movie is through his POV. And it's good storytelling.
Dude, definitely character driven. It's so good.
Oh yeah. Well, you can, if you look. Have you guys attempted to watch all of the Halloween movies that
I've seen them.
I've seen most of them.
Yeah,
I've seen them all.
As we progress through the sequels, you can start seeing that they're like, we don't know who to focus on in this story anymore.
I have like a soft spot for Return of Michael Myers, like Halloween 4.
Okay.
Because that was
his
that was the first one I ever saw.
Okay, that's fair. Because I remember Halloween they would play all of them all the time on TV.
Every year.
They would just every year there was
on AMC.
Yeah. So
that's the one with his little sister, right?
Cousin.
Yeah. Little cousin. Yeah. That was the first one I saw, and I remember watching it and thinking, "This is bad."
But I actually really like it.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second movie I chose, because not to get too offhand, is Alien, Ridley Scott, because horror comes in like different kind of ways.
Yeah.
Like there's slasher movies, there's the sci-fi horror stuff, and then my third point we'll do something else. But I think we've all watched Alien. I don't think it requires any introduction, and it's pretty much a slasher fic. Like it's another slasher movie. It's one villain going around with racking up a high body count. It just so happens that. That's what I was gonna say. It just so happens to take like a good 45 minutes in order for anything to happen. Like I'm pretty sure that when the face hugger scene happens, like that's pretty distressing. But then it's another 10 minutes of stuff before his chest explodes.
Yeah.
So it is a slow burn. That's close to an hour into the movie. So yeah, 100%. Because I don't know about you guys. When I first watched Alien, I had no idea it was actually going to be that kind of a scary movie. I thought it was just going to be ooh, aliens, out on a ship, it's killing the pilots and stuff. And then Aliens was more what I thought it was gonna be, like
the action.
Like grabbing the gun and actually taking the fight to the alien.
Hold on, really quick, Artur. Okay? I think it should be. Did your cinema prof Bart ever tell you the story behind James Cameron's Aliens?
Not that I know, because
okay, really quick. When he walked into the pitch for the sequel, he wrote Alien on the board, and they go, "How are you going to change it?" And he put an S.
Oh, that's so smart.
Aliens, and they went, "Wow."
Oh well, because just on a brief note about that movie, there's some people that prefer that one to the original, and there's some people
I prefer Aliens.
See, I've talked to many people, and I've also prefer Aliens. I like the fact that it's so different from the first. I like that it's like way more action heavy. I like the Space Marines and like that entire idea. But the first one, it's the claustrophobia that I think is what people like a lot about it. Like there's something that's so terrifying about being stuck on a ship where no one can hear you scream with a deadly, like alien. I don't know. So that's my second pick.
Nice out of the box pick.
And then for a newer version, so I didn't actually expect this to be as good as it was, but It Part 1, the first movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
The remake though, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, not the '90s TV miniseries with Tim Curry. Even though Tim Curry slaps as being Pennywise, everyone else in that cast just kind of they're bland, they're meh. So I go with the remake released in 2016? 2017. And the thing is, the reason why I go with that, not only because I'm kind of enraptured in reading the book right now, but because they didn't need, like the second, if you guys watched, It Part 1 or Part 2, after watching It Part 2, it kind of makes you wonder why It Part 1 was even made. Because that story is, not that it's not relevant, but like they could have, made it a one big movie. Like there's nothing stopping it from being one big movie. And also, I don't understand the idea, because like in the book, you start off as an adult, like in the first chapters. Actually, no, the very first chapter, it's Georgie dying with the bow and everything. But after that, you're immediately transported to 1986, and you kind of figure this out as a mystery. Like as the characters are remembering everything, as they're coming back to Derry,
as adults,
you as the reader are figuring out more and more. And then every time, when they go find their tokens or whatever that was so dumb in Part 2, they start remembering stuff from their childhood. And that's what the first movie is. But the first movie does it so well.
Like, I like the way they did it. The humor it's insane.
Because you know what? A lot of people had a problem with the second one, but the first one was like, it perfectly stayed in that balance between being terrifying, but at the time still being funny and giving levity. Like it's not consistent dread that entire movie, which is kind of warranted because Pennywise is scary. Like it's actually terrifying having like a demonic clown that can alter its form and make it itself be the scariest possible thing that you yourself find scary. Like it's kind of messed up. So for that reason alone, and the fact that all of the characters, to an extent, in the first one, have kind of an arc. All of them learn to kind of get over their fears. Like, this is not, it's in a book, and it's then in Part 2, but like, Richie is just like this like little nerdy kid that gets bullied all the time, has the most punchable face that a bully could ever see. Apparently that's how his face is described. And he has to get over his fear of like the bullies and stuff like that. Eddie has to get over his like leprosy, like.
What's the thing? He's a hypochondriac, like.
Yeah, so like he's super afraid of germs and diseases, so it manifests himself as a leopard to scare him.
Which character was Mike from Stranger Things? What was
That's Richie. That was Richie.
That's Richie, and then he becomes Bill Hader in the second one?
Yeah. But great casting, by the way. Like both for like early version and
part.
Yeah. Dude, Mike from Stranger Things steals the show.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. His like the way, because I went to go watch this movie, also has a significant effect the way you watch it, I think. So the reason why to me it's so high up is that when I went to go to the theaters to watch part one, I went to watch it, with like all my boys. And the thing is, the way they talk to each other are kind of the way we talk to, like, within our friend group. So every time when they start roasting one another, we're just like, they get it. Like, they understand the humor, and like it plays those kind of conventions. Just like I don't know, something outside of what
that's cinema reflecting life, Artur.
Oh, I love it, because here's the thing: if you can get an entire cinema to be roaring with laughter, within cavering in fear, not 2 minutes later, you're doing something right with your movie.
Those are the best horror movies, though.
Oh yeah, no.
Horror's always managed to balance comedy with it. When it's done right.
I was gonna say there's horror movies where I've gone to watch where they take the stupidity of the characters, and that's what's funny, is the fact that they're so dumb that they're actually pursuing all of this. And that's where you get the laughter. In this one, they're actually funny people. They're funny.
What did you guys think of Jordan Peele's Get Out? Because when I watched it the first time around, I liked it, but I thought some of the humor there might have just been a little bit forced.
I genuinely think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of it is funny. I think Get Out, it's not, like, it's a horror movie, but it's not a horror movie in the sense that it's like, I'm constantly like I know a jump scare is coming. It's just that this whole atmosphere that Jordan Peele has created is so terrifying.
It's a thriller.
Because like that's funny. I was actually watching it before this call, and so there's this one scene where he's in the house, right? Daniel Kaluuya's character, and he's with his girlfriend, and they're talking to like all the white people that are there, and they're all wearing red. Every single one of them is wearing red because who they are. They're like here. They're here for this guy's body, right? They want this guy's blood. They want this guy's everything, right? And they're assessing this guy. And there's this one part where he walks up the stairs and everybody stops talking, and they all look at him as he walks up because now they don't have to put on a facade anymore. And it's just like now they're just eavesdropping on this guy. That's terrifying. That eeriness. Mm-hmm. But as like a straight up horror where I'm just like, oh man, Freddy Krueger's about to jump out of like that door. No, it's not that.
Oh yeah,
I think it's hilarious. I think a lot, like especially the side character, the TSA agent. Anytime that guy talks.
That's what I was referring to when I thought like some of his like antics were like maybe a little bit too.
Like, was he necessary? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe not. Personally, like, especially when he's trying to tell the cops, like, yo, there's a bunch of white people stealing black bodies. And the cops are just like, what? Like, I thought that was really funny.
I was going to say, in terms of that movie, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's two endings to that movie.
I knew this.
Yeah. So the theatrical cut is what majority of people have seen, where like he leaves and he's actually able to escape and whateverness. But in the different ending, he actually gets that last cop that he meets up with. He actually gets like imprisoned and in jail. And in the last shot, it's him in jail, and it's a little bit more realistic, I think, because the ending that he kind of had in mind was that if a black man came up to a police officer and started going off of all this stuff, probably get sent to jail. And that's kind of where the movie ends in a more realistic tone. But then for, I guess, I don't know what reason, but for the theatrical cut, I know they changed it into a more of a ominous but happy ending, rather than, depressing and realistic.
Sam is
getting. I like the second one, the second ending more.
Yeah,
they would have done. Yeah, because I that entire movie is supposed to be like a hyper realistic manifestation of like racism in a way.
Yeah,
like it's just manifested to a point where it's deadly. And
it might have just been too much though. Serial. Like you need that triumph in it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
you do, but I appreciate,
because you're rooting for him the whole time.
Yeah,
but I appreciate when a movie ends in a dreadful tone. Like, does anyone here have the original Friday the 13th in their list?
We were gonna talk about it, yeah.
Okay, so because I was gonna say like that movie, the way it ends with the villain dying, but still on a dreadful note because there's a zombie kid that comes up from the water and then drags down the last camp counselor. And that, like, when a movie ends like that for me, that's where it becomes like a great horror movie. Because, like, are they truly gone? Like, the threat? Like, that lingering tone is what is so good about
Chef's kiss. Like,
what's the deal with Jason? Is he like a ghost? Like, what is he?
He's a zombie kind of brute because by the second one, he still doesn't have that hockey mask. And he's still just kind of like a lumbering brute who's like has no real motivation at this point other than wanting to keep people out. Then in the third one, he does get the famous hockey mask, and then he starts like targeting people for no apparent reason other than the movie's plot revolving around a certain character each time. And then they just started throwing him into different like scenarios. Like he went to hell, he went to New York, he fought Freddy versus he fought Freddy, then he went to outer space.
I remember that one.
Yeah, so they exhausted that character as much as they could, I'd say. So, but in terms of like true horror, like scary, the first three, maybe the first four movies apply. After that, they kind of realized that it was more silly than I think it was than they were like being able to portray. Like, because no one was scared of those movies anymore. In all fairness, like the first one, like look at it in context of the time. Like when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, people found that scary. You watch nowadays, you know, like I don't get what's scary about this. Like it might be uncomfortable, but it's not.
It's
like
the idea, though, right?
Exactly.
It's like an atmospheric thing, being in that.
Now it's all about loud, panicky noises, jump scares, music.
We were talking about this too.
Yeah.
With the original Exorcist.
Okay. Oh yeah. Is that on one of your lists?
It was one of
Okay. So wait. So So let's go through both of your lists really quickly, just so we all know which movies we all have in mind.
You have to go first because I want to find a little more detail about the Exorcist.
Okay.
Okay. So I did put the first Halloween movie on my list, mostly because it is. Like, aside from, I didn't want to put Halloween 4. The original Halloween is also one of the first horror movies I've seen.
Also, in many ways, Halloween 4 can be kind of better than the first Halloween.
It's not the first story.
No, like, I love first one's a classic, but, like, this Halloween 4 to me has a better ending than the first Halloween.
Come on. Yeah? The first Halloween, when she looks down and no one's there?
I know, but, like, in
That's
Halloween
insane.
4...
I went nuts.
In Halloween 4, when Mike Myers is inside of the prison, and then he's like in chains, he's looking down. He doesn't have his mask on anymore. His cousin walks by the jail cell with a bunch of police officers, and after she's like, "Will he die in here?" And they're like, "He'll never get out. Like, you know, he'll die in these chains." And then she's like, in like the creepiest tone, she's like, "He'll never die," and it's like it's the creepiest the way the movie ever ends. In all of those, and then he breaks out. So
did you see the new one?
Same tone.
Soft.
Yeah, I watched the new one.
What'd you feel about the new one?
I very much liked it.
I was gonna say I like it because it's Jamie Lee Curtis. Like she slaps in that movie, and honestly, she's been good in every single movie she's been in the Halloween series. First one, she's great. Second one, she's great. H2O, she's fantastic. Too bad in the next one, Resurrection, she gets killed off relatively early. Kind of undercuts her character from H2O. Whereas Resurrection, I think the name of the movie.
No, isn't that Alien Resurrection?
No. This new one was just called Halloween, no?
Huh?
Was the new one just called Halloween?
Yeah. I see it as like Halloween 2018.
I very much like, I compare it, the new one, to like, okay, I just saw Terminator Dark Fate, which surprisingly was very enjoyable. Okay. Very enjoyable.
I've been thinking about actually going to the theater to watch that one. Maybe next podcast can be a review of that movie.
How the new Halloween is better, I guess, but like it's very much like it's so simple. You bring back Schwarzenegger, you bring back Linda Hamilton, and it works. Okay? You bring back Jamie Lee Curtis, you throw in Judy Greer, and it just works. It's simple. And that's why I like the original Halloween so much. Because it's simple, in the sense where it's like, it's a simple story. it's that creepy kid from the street you live on. If he grew up to become a monster,
Oh yeah,
like
I love the fact that it takes place in like a regular suburban neighborhood, just to
yeah,
add to the level of fear, because we all live in suburban neighborhoods.
it's so real in that sense. It's unnerving, and Carpenter just knows how to build that like looming atmosphere of dread, like you were saying. Like it's just like this guy. It's very much a lot of it from like Michael, right? Like
Yeah,
all the kills,
Yes.
right? And so you're very much drawn into him and how this guy is just such evil, right? But it's just a simple story, and I like that a lot. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess a lot of the movies I like are a little bit fueled by nostalgia,
Hmm.
and
okay, that's
Halloween
fair.
a little bit is because it's like that
Don't
movie
worry,
that I always go back to
I was
on
gonna pick
Halloween.
I was gonna pick
Like,
Halloween Town. Trust me, I get the nostalgia. Like I was very close, and
yeah,
especially Halloween Town 2, but that's not the point. Uh, but I was gonna say with
I
Halloween,
like Town.
there's a little bit of an Easter egg that I think people kind of miss. So John Carpenter directed Halloween, and in Halloween you see on the TV playing a thing from the other world, which was released in 1953. Don't worry about it. But the thing is, 2 years later, John Carpenter he made a remake of that movie, just called The Thing. A couple of years
Yeah.
later, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so like it's really cool how it all is concise. I don't know.
Dude, man,
Cool
and
tips.
that movie was made in 1978 too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think it ages so well because even if you watch it for the first time in 2019, you're still gonna feel that eeriness of someone
Exactly.
watching you.
well, yeah, because what Halloween did that was so smart is that the only other slasher movies that had been out at the time, as far as I
Texas
know,
Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre was already out, and I think Friday the 13th was about to come out.
Is Friday
With
the 13th
Halloween.
1980?
No, yeah, no, yeah. So
Yeah, it was
Friday
1980.
the Friday the 13th came out just after Halloween. And the thing is, they were the first ones to put the threat in a neighborhood setting. So that, but it helps you guys knowing that it helps knowing that the scenery in which the movie takes place pretty much mattered into how successful they were. Like Friday the 13th was the first one to put it in the woods, in like a camp setting, and that's why it's scary. Texas Chainsaw Massacre made it like out in an abandoned house. Like the scene where the movie takes place very much mattered to those early late 70s, early 80s horror movies.
I think to an extent it still does, and I think that's another reason why it
Yeah,
as a concept works because it's in your backyard, it's in your streets.
it, it, uh, and that's why I also wanted to choose like Nightmare on Elm Street. If any of
Mhm.
you guys actually had any of that, because like the setting for that one is your dream. Like it just so happens your dream can take place anywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's no more intimate place to go and terrorize than
You
you
know
while
what?
you're sleeping.
I was gonna say, like,
Temple.
think about when you're most vulnerable. To me, is when I'm asleep at my house, and
Yeah,
the fact that he can get you
Curled up.
literally. I don't know, like it's
it's
especially
terrifying.
it is frightening. And the thing
Yeah,
is, there's some people that can't watch horror movies at all.
Yeah,
Like,
it's Sam. It's literally Sam.
present.
Like,
That's me.
because like I remember after watching, I think the third Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, where he pretty much is picking off all the remaining kids of Elm Street because all of them pretty much ended up because the whole story of Freddy Krueger is that the parents on Elm Street burned his house alive after they figured out that it depends on the interpretation, but it's either that he was killing kids or he was molesting and killing kids. Like it's kind of it's weird depending on the way which movie you're watching tells you. But then all of those kids get sent to like a psychiatric ward, and they're given pills so that they don't dream and whatnot. That way they can forget Freddy. But in the movie, undeniably, fear spreads. Freddy comes back, and then Freddy kills off, you know, pretty much the entire cast bar one. Um, and like that movie was terrifying. Like the very first kill that happens is pretty much like this kid, his veins and arteries all pop out of his body, and then Freddy's like holding it on like a ventriloquist, and then he makes the guy walk out of the building, and then the guy commits suicide. It's like one of the most like sadistic things to watch when you're a 6-year-old. So like I remember watching it and then going to bed that night and being like, I don't want my veins to get pulled out of my body. I'm just like, ew. I don't know. It's like only horror movies can do that. That's why I love talking about horror movies, because like what other kind of movie genre can kind of elicit that kind of an emotion? Like,
see, I know you said only pick horror movies, but I kind of broke the rules.
Same.
Like,
so what was your last one?
No, hold on. Which one did I say so far? Halloween?
You said Halloween.
You said
Two
Halloween, and then we talked about every other one that me and you collectively picked.
I also, out of the box, I chose Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
As my number 2.
I think you can count that as a Halloween movie, because
I count Ghostbusters, aside from the fact that it's one of the best costumes to dress up as for Halloween. Ghostbusters, I think, balances, like, it's comedy and it's hilarious, I think, but it has those scary moments. Like, what's it called? Dana getting possessed by Zool. Like, I love that. It doesn't teeter.
Scary though?
No, it's not scary, but it's like, oh shit, yo, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't think Halloween movies need to be totally like dread horror. Like I love Hocus Pocus. It's not in my list, but I love Hocus Pocus as a Halloween movie. Like, and I love that Ghostbusters kind of takes that, like, this could be a horror movie. Technically speaking, Ghostbusters could very much be a group of guys dealing with a demonic monster who's infiltrating, whatever city they live in, New York. Like, but it's Bill Murray, it's Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, dicking around, fighting ghosts, having a good time, dressing up in like sick costumes. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say the only
scary. It
part
could
of that
be.
movie. No, I was gonna say the only actual scary part in that entire movie is the librarian, and when she like changes form, like immediately.
See?
Like that, like that's pretty much it.
Dude,
That's
Dan
creepy.
Aykroyd too. I'm pretty sure. Sorry to cut you off. I'm pretty sure Dan Aykroyd. The reason why he came up with Ghostbusters was because of like family experiences with seances.
Really?
Yeah, I was watching him on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he said, like, I came up with the idea of Ghostbusters because I have like a family connection to that sort of realm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, never saw it happening. Okay.
Yeah, dude. If you have a chance to watch that one, he's probably the most well-spoken guy I've ever seen. Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, the guy made vodka. What do you expect?
And 2, he believes in everything, like ghosts, aliens, whatever, you name it.
That I knew. You know, he says he came in contact with the Men in Black. Legit.
Yeah.
Him and Kanye should get together.
Honestly. Also, the guy from Blink-182 discovered a UFO.
Like,
Tom DeLonge. Like, legitimately, the U.S. Navy came out and was like, this was never supposed to be released. Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 discovered a UFO. Dead ass.
All right, I'm gonna remain skeptical of that one.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, number 3. So more recent, I chose Sinister by Scott Derrickson.
Yeah.
Which the better scary movies of this decade.
I think so, because a lot it's the standard, like, demon coming for children, right? Like, creepy children, but like what gets me is like the true horror is how obsessed Ethan Hawke's character gets with all this. And you know that the more he researches this, the more he goes into looking up this guy, the worse it's going to be. The closer this demon gets to his kid, the more horrific that his death is going to be. And so throughout the movie, he keeps discovering how the previous families of this house died. And the movie opens up with like a hanging, like a family hanging. There's another one where like a car is lit on fire with the family in it. Another one where kids are the family's tied to a chair, and they're tied to cinder blocks, pushed in a pool. And then the last one's the worst one when you just see a lawnmower like on the grass going at full speed, and then immediately you see a guy's face and it cuts, and it's a loud scream. And I just remember watching. I guess I watched it when I was like 15 or something, 16 first, and I was terrified of lawnmowers.
I won't do it, man.
Like it
I
was
love everything. I love how it was lawnmowers.
Oh my god! And you don't expect it, it's Ethan Hawke watching this clip, and it's just a lawnmower, and it's about a minute long of just the mower going right, and you're just like, where the hell is this guy going? And then all of a sudden, for half a second, the guy's face appears on the ground, and it's like, and it cuts. Disgusting. Like, I know Sam's never gonna watch this. Like,
I won't watch those movies. I just can't.
I get it though.
It's one of those weird things where the reason why I think horror movies do so well is because they tap into like our own beliefs, whether it be religious or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I can't put myself in that situation. Like I can't even fathom it.
What about like a Paranormal Activity kind of movie where it's never shown to you the paranormal? It's still kept hidden. Like, could you watch that?
Dude, my imagination runs so wild someday that I couldn't even do that. The first time I watched The Exorcist was last week.
Really?
The first time I watched The Exorcist, 1973, The Exorcist. The same director who did The French Connection. This was on my list. That guy is William Friedkin. And it wasn't scary when I watched. I had built it up in my head, but it wasn't as scary as I thought.
Not anymore.
But
it's just disgusting at this point.
How movies age, right?
Yeah.
Like when you watch Michael Myers, you can imagine a killer coming to your house.
Yeah.
This when you see, you know what's scarier? I know I'm going on a tangent. The scariest thing to me is what you don't see in movies sometimes.
Off-screen stuff? Okay.
Yeah, like because you build it up in your head to a point where you can't even, you just want to shut down.
See, that's why I think I'm so comfortable in a horror movie. I accept whatever they give me. I try my best to not think too much about it, and I just go along for the ride, the ups and the downs.
That's me with Sinister.
Yeah.
But like it's gonna be a dumb admission. But there was a movie in the early 2000s. It's called Jeepers Creepers. It is.
Come on. What are you doing?
Well, the thing is, like, that was like the movie that terrified me. Like, Nick, I could not sleep for weeks on end because of that movie. And
that was me with Sinister.
But that's the thing. But it took me a while to kind of get in, like, kind of be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So now I could just watch anything. Like, that was kind of like the movie that made me pretty much nut up and just being like, yeah, you can sit through movies now. Like, don't worry about it.
No, that's 100%. Do you hear that?
What?
Do you hear that loud noise?
Dogging up. Just
what are you hearing?
What are you hearing, boy?
What is it, boy?
Oh my gosh.
Like,
man.
no, Artur.
I'm never talking.
You're right.
About
No,
this
Sinister.
again.
Sinister was very much the movie where I was watching it, and it was 2 hours of straight. I'm uncomfortable, and I know this is what Scott Derrickson wants from me. Like, and especially when you get to the ending, and like this is it. It's his time. You should have never gone down this trail. You should have moved out. You're an idiot. And then there it is. It's Ethan Hawke staring at his kid, axing people. Like, and you're like, that's it. And then it ends with the demon, Bagul. Like,
is that what's the name of the demon at the end? I forgot its name.
I hope one day it is. And I hope one day to interview Scott Derrickson and ask him, like, were you and like his co-writer C. Robert Cargill like hitting a blunt when you guys were like, yo, what about Bagul? Bagul. Like, that's the one.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went on Google and they're like, demon names. Bagul.
Sounds like bagel. Like,
oh, see, that doesn't make it as scary anymore.
Yeah,
that's the thing. In horror movies, you have to like sometimes you have to downplay how terrifying what you're watching is happening, just to help you cope with it.
Nah, he's on
I can't cope.
Like, I remember watching like Pet Cemetery, and like that movie is like not as scary as today standards. Oh, it's fine. Like,
fine.
It's nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
But in the original, when you're watching it, and like I was a kid watching it with my dad, and I'm just seeing like all of these like zombie-esque looking pets coming out of the grave. You're like this is terrifying. And then you start thinking, I'm like, wait, that's just like a little puppet or like a little animatronic. Probably looks so cute in person. So you do your best to try to cope with whatever you're watching, and then eventually.
He's right. No, he's right. Because like when I was a kid, Sam, before I get to you, when I was a kid and I watched Jaws, I was like, oh shit, yo, Jaws is pretty scary.
Jaws is a horror movie though.
Jaws is a horror blockbuster.
Yeah.
But then I went to Universal Studios.
This last movie.
Have you ever been to? So in Universal Studios in California, they'll take you on a tour of some sets in the lot at Universal City, and they have the Jaws animatronic there, like the original one. And you're just like, that's just a big dumb robot. That ain't a shark.
That's not scary anymore.
I could take a bat to that thing.
Man, Jaws messed up a generation.
Sam.
A lot of people didn't go in the water after watching Jaws.
Yeah, which is hilarious because
actually though,
there are some beaches that already have sharks. Like the beach where I lived for majority of my time before I immigrated here, like there was like beaches and there was like shark warnings all the time. So watching Jaws, we're just like, oh yeah, it's what happens here every kind of week.
Oh dude, that's a Tuesday for us.
That's hilarious.
But Sam. No, like I know people are afraid of the ocean because of that movie. Yeah, so Sam, what are your three?
Feel better.
So what was the first one I said?
You said the first Halloween was also in your list.
Yeah, I said the first Halloween. We talked about The Exorcist a little bit.
Yeah.
That's actually a classic. I'd implore you to go watch that again.
Yeah, no, oh my god. It's the only really good Exorcist movie, because if you watch the other ones, there's like 2 more sequels. The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah.
Hold on, there's more?
Yeah, there's 2 more.
Yeah, I think they're spin-offs though, no?
The Exorcism of Emily Rose ties into that?
No. So the idea
they're like spin-offs.
No, yeah, so it's in the same brand as like The Exorcist, but The Exorcism of Emily Rose is based on a real story. That's why it breaks up.
That's Scott Derrickson.
Yeah, it is. Look at that.
I know,
The Exorcist movies 1, 2, and 3 pretty much just tell the story of the demon that originally possesses her. Forgot the name of it.
Okay.
Of the demon. Yeah. No, not that one. But yeah, the sequels are bad, man. They're just shit. Yeah. I think the third one has to do with like locusts. It's like not about like a demonic presence anymore. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay, so we talked about The Exorcist, Halloween.
Yeah.
And then my third, I don't even know what my third one was. I think we already talked about it.
No, dude, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, okay. Not really a Halloween movie, but it was on last night and it was in my head, so I had to bring it up because it involves vampires. So like that's kind of
actually horror
for the second half of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1996.
Quentin Tarantino is a terrible actor. Can we?
Honestly, it works though.
I do not think at all his role works on that entire movie.
It's so good, man. We're gonna have to talk about it another time.
Year.
I'm pressed for time right now, but I'm just gonna go.
Oh yeah, shit.
Robert Rodriguez. I think this was like his second or third feature, written by Robert Kurtzman. The story, and Quentin Tarantino wrote the screenplay. Harvey Keitel, George Clooney. You have Quentin Tarantino, and you have Selma Hayek, $1 Million Baby. And wait, did I say that wrong? Oh my gosh.
What's wrong?
Was Selma Hayek $1 Million Baby?
No, that's Hilary Swank.
I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm so upset with myself.
What do you mean?
Is she in
the
this?
Wrong actress.
I'm the worst with actress names and actors.
Is
Okay.
she in the $1 Million Baby? No, she's not. No, she's
No.
definitely
In
not.
the $1 Million
Selma,
Baby?
It's not Selma
There's
Hayek. You know
$1
why?
million.
My brother screwed me up last night. It's
No.
Juliette Lewis plays the daughter, not $1 Million Baby. My brother,
That's
honestly,
also neither of them are $1 Million Baby though.
who's $1 Million Baby?
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank. Either way, From Dusk Till Dawn, amazing movie.
I
It
have
was
no idea
George
how we got
Clooney's like
here.
transition from TV to film.
Uh-huh.
I think it was like either his first or his second film, like ever feature.
Clooney's? Yeah?
Yeah, because before he was on ER.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he was
ER.
known for.
Oh, I forgot about that terrible show. Continue.
So it follows these two brothers, Tarantino and Clooney, who are like running away from the law pretty much because they robbed the bank and they did all these things, and they're trying to get to Mexico.
Yeah.
So they pretty much hijack Harvey Keitel's family's RV and they go down, and it's just a night of like vampirism and it's just outlandishness.
I'll say they stumble onto this bar, and it just so happens it's a vampire bar.
Yeah.
It is
It's ridiculous.
I think it's supposed to be ridiculous. I
But
don't
it's
think like that movie's
hilarious.
supposed to be taken seriously.
Yeah. And it
I'll
works.
accept that. Yeah.
It works. I watched it last night with my brother, who doesn't like movies at all, by the way. Like
Can't really trust that guy.
Pardon?
Can't really trust that guy.
He's getting more into it because he sees how much I like them, but he enjoyed it because it's so ridiculous that you can't not enjoy it.
I see what you mean. Like sometimes movies can appeal to that part of you where they're so out of the box that they become now entertaining.
It's like how The Room has a following.
Yeah, but The Room has like what I like. Just because you mentioned it, like
It's
I love how
so
Tommy
bad.
Wiseau went from like, "Ew, this movie is Citizen Kane" to like, "Oh no, it was always a comedy." Like I was always trying to make fun of myself for like, no, you weren't, sweetie. You thought this was a serious movie at first. Now everyone made fun of it, and now you laugh at it too. Completely different.
I just came back from the doctor, Artur. I definitely have breast cancer.
Never referred to for the remaining of the movie. I'm sorry. Now I kind of want to say something about The Room, but we do not have time.
Stay on top,
guys.
Special.
On that, I have to leave.
Okay, really quick. The definitive Halloween movie, then.
Okay.
We all mentioned Halloween.
I think Halloween is in there. The original Halloween.
It has to be
in
Halloween.
It has to be.
Okay, so Halloween. From our picks, what would you want number 2 to be?
Probably The
Guys.
Exorcist.
Guys, we didn't even talk about Scream.
That's the point.
Because this I was gonna say is that I was gonna mention Wes Anderson movies like
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven, because like I mentioned already Nightmare on Elm Street, but he also has Scream, and Scream is a response to all the cliches that had built up in the early 80s. So like, if you had sex, you died. If you're a black guy, you died. You talk about the killer, you died. You start drinking, you died.
Mhm.
And then like that, I don't know. So Scream to me is probably the best 90s horror movies, but I don't think it quite cracks into the top 3 like of best Halloween movies to watch of all time.
I'd say it's a top 10.
Bro, it's like a top 5. Like, who are we kidding?
No, the first Scream is still a great movie. Like, actually, all the Scream movies are pretty good, but like, okay, 4 is kind of meh. But it's like, I think they're in their own kind of little bracket.
Here, how about this? Really quick. Honorable mentions. Ready? Watch. Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, Final Destination.
Not the first one. It has to be the third one.
The third one. Absolutely. No worries.
And if you're doing Final Destination, how can you not pick the third one with the roller coaster?
Because it's the best one.
Yeah, it's so bad that it's good.
Okay. Final Destination. I'd put Hereditary on there as
like,
most recent.
I gotta end this call.
Dude, okay. I have to go, and I feel so bad because I know we can talk this for hours. We're going to do a part 2 next week.
Halloween at number 1.
Halloween at number 1.
That's what we agreed on.
Ghostbusters goes up there just because it's a classic.
See?
Fine. Okay, and then I nominate at least Alien to be up there.
Done.
Done.
So there, Halloween,
and Halloween
The
Town
Exorcist,
2.
Ghostbusters. There, Ghostbusters, Alien, Scream.
Scream.
Oh, honorable mention. What's that movie with the two sisters who are witches? It was Disney.
Hocus
Twitches.
Pocus.
No.
Twitches.
Twitches. Oh, that is a terrible movie, but
Sounds like I
deserves an
just want to get off this call.
Absolutely not. We're gonna keep mentioning even worse movies.
I'm just gonna leave my laptop here. You guys can figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure out how to finish the recording of this call.
All right, you want to do a sign off, and then we'll talk about next week, and then I gotta go.
Perfect. Okay. So
guys, what a great second episode.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, WordPress, LinkedIn, Squarespace, MySpace, Bearspace, all of them.
Follow us wherever we update content.
Wherever, if you search our name and we appear somewhere, follow us there. Okay?
Perfect.
That's the sign off. Sam, end it off.
All right, we've been Nick, Artur, and Sam. We'll see you in another one next week. Thanks for
Episode
watching.
2.